I'm Mr. fucking YouTube. Why does the Cyberpunk 2077 fiasco scare you?
Oh, God. I got to talk about this.
Let me just say this and then you can talk. I'm going to let you go. We're delaying the game. Fuck you, I'll kill you, CD Projekt Red. Okay, we're releasing the game. Fuck you, CD Projekt Red. Why isn't the game perfect?
That's not actually why it scares me, but it is a major problem that we have.
Go ahead.
That might be a problem for another video. But let me discuss this with you guys. Why the Cyberpunk 2077 release fiasco scares me. And let's get into this from a business perspective a little bit. Because here's the big issue I got. You have a very hyped game. A very significantly pre-ordered game. Probably the most anticipated game of the year. All right, this is the big one. This is what we're waiting for.
Last 5 years.
Okay? I mean, I've held my pre-order for this game for 2 years. Okay?
Yep.
Went through 3-4 delays for it. Don't care. Would have went through another couple, but that's besides the point.
Should have.
This game comes out. It sells well. Right? It's probably I think it's the fastest selling PC game of all time, if I remember right. Or most pre-ordered PC game, or whatever. Sells well. Probably released in a non-finished state, to be fair. At least on older consoles. So now we got problems. We got a refund thing going on. We have pissed off gamers. We have lawsuits against CD Projekt Red. We have their stock price tanked by 40%. And here's what scares me. A lot of these AAA development studios are public companies. EA, Take-Two, Activision. I think Warner Media is owned by AT&T, if I remember right. These guys do AAA titles. They're public companies. They see this, and they think to themselves, why the fuck should we risk it? Okay? That's the problem, guys. They know they can churn out Madden every year. They know they can churn out Call of Duty every year. Change a couple skins, throw a couple new maps on there, get $60. Pretty easy. It's a zero risk formula. Okay? We don't know if we can turn out a Cyberpunk every 8 years. Are we going to invest 8 years in the development of this once-in-a-generation game? And if it don't go smooth, we end up with 40% share hit to our stock price. We end up with a couple class action lawsuits. We end up with a bunch of bad will and a bunch of pissed off gamers. Do we risk it? Do we take the chance? Because unfortunately, with these AAA studios, art does not dictate. Investors and money dictates.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to the
dollar.
Yep.
And the investors.
Yep.
That's the big problem, guys. Art is leaving the AAA scene. It's leaving the AAA gaming scene. Because I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm going to do a 25-hour review for Cyberpunk. That's about what I got on it. It's one of the best games I ever played. Outside of the bugs and glitches, which unfortunately dominate the conversation everywhere you go. The game's fucking phenomenal. It's an adult game. It's an adult-level game. It's what we want. I'm a 35-year-old grown-ass man. I want an adult-ass game where I make decisions.
I want to fuck some bitches and shoot some motherfuckers.
Where I get to make some decisions and have my actions matter, for the most part, and have different things happen and feel like I'm in this world.
Breathing world.
The creation and the vision is there.
Yep.
It's outstanding. But the conversation has nothing to do with it. The narrative is all about these bugs. It's all about this piss-poor release.
Yep.
So you ask yourself, will these companies risk this? And that is what scares me, is that we are going to lose that AAA top-tier game that we can look forward to in the long term.
Now, make no mistake, you're not defending CD Projekt Red.
I'm not defending the fact that they released the game in an unfinished state like they did. I think they should have pushed it back. Again, discussion for a different video, that we as gamers are idiots.
Sometimes need to shut the fuck up.
We're idiots, okay?
Yep.
We're not fair. And it's a discussion for a different video. But I'm not defending that CD Projekt Red released the game like they did.
Nope.
I'm not saying that.
There's no excuse for it.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying I am looking at this entire picture, and I guarantee you, so are all these other development houses, especially these AAA development houses.
If you think Ubisoft and EA and Activision and those companies don't see this and go, why the fuck should we do that?
Why the fuck?
Let's just give them Anthem and rip them off.
Yeah. Why the fuck? Well, Anthem's a great example of another bad release. Fallout 76, same thing.
Terrible game. Terrible release.
Why are we going to risk it? Why are we going to risk it? And that's unfortunately what I think is happening in the AAA space. Or you look maybe 5 years down the line. Where's the AAA development studio? Because these AAA games, guys, they're bigger and bolder than ever. Graphically, they're more intense than ever. The level of personnel that has to go into it and money and time is bigger than ever to get something like Cyberpunk. And look at, they spent 8 years on it and they still didn't really have it ironed out like they needed to. Again, it bothers me a lot. It scares me a lot that artistic vision, right? That creativity that we want to see in our AAA games, in those big marquee games. You get 4 or 5 of them a year. Excuse me, 4 or 5 of them a year, right? If you're lucky. You want them to be those tentpole games. Look at what's happened in the movie business. Same thing. Everything is a superhero movie. They're the same fucking movie, but that's what people go see.
Yep.
And they're very low risk. You know, you're using basically an already created character. Yeah, every once in a while you get one that bombs, but for the most part, they make money pretty good. But you've seen one, you've seen them all. There's not really a big, for the most part, there's rarely a big blockbuster movie that's really artistic or visionary anymore. Very rarely. Every once in a while, I think Interstellar is one that I kind of remember.
Very good.
As just or Inception maybe. You might be able to point to those movies. Avatar at the time. But very rarely do we see that in the movie business anymore. And
why should they take a risk?
Why the fuck would they take a risk? I see it happening in the gaming business too. And CD Projekt Red, unfortunately, with this whole Cyberpunk thing, has just exacerbated it, I think, and it may even end up happening faster than it already was. But where is that? Again, we get those tentpole releases. You look at 2020, we had Last of Us Part 2, we had Ghost of Tsushima, we had Cyberpunk, and Final Fantasy VII Remake. Really, you had 4 big money AAA releases.
Doom Eternal.
Doom Eternal, 5. Okay. So you had 5 big money releases. For the most part, they went off pretty good. You know, you had a little nonsense surrounding Last of Us Part 2, and then, of course, the fiasco with Cyberpunk.
I actually think Cyberpunk's a bad game. I just think it should have been delayed again.
Not a bad game.
Should have been delayed on last-gen consoles.
Or they should have been more realistic with it. When they delayed it, they should have said, here's why we're delaying it. Here, look at the state of this. We can't release this. Yep. I'm sorry you guys are disappointed, but if we release this, you're going to have problems. You're going to have a crash every hour. So,
when the investors dictate the timeline, you have a problem.
When investors dictate art, you have a problem.
Yep.
And that's what we have happening in our AAA studios. And you guys come on here. You guys know that when we get on here, we spout it. Truth, right? For you guys that watch the channel.
The ugly reality.
The ugly reality is, and we're businessmen ourselves, and, you know, we're going to take the path of least resistance when it comes to our business, right? If there's money to be made doing less work and less risk, that's where we're going.
Yep.
Fuck the art. But as a gamer, I want the art, right? I want the art, and I want that vision. I want something different, that creativity, that wonderfully realized city with some adult choices floating around, if you know what I mean. Are these guys going to take that risk in the future? Seeing a 40% share hit and multiple class action lawsuits.
It's scary.
That's what scares me. I look at it over the future.
Yep. It's scary because CD Projekt was one of those last real, you say tentpole, I say tentpole companies that really kind of holds up the gaming industry. And honestly, I don't know if this will quote unquote ruin them. I think maybe a little exaggeration about some of that stuff.
I think they'll recover, and I think they'll make this right. But I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Yeah. But I think overall, like I said multiple times now, I think Cyberpunk's a fantastic game. And I think anybody looking at it saying Cyberpunk is garbage, it's trash, it's blah blah blah. Dude, who are you trying to kid? Like, I think the game's very good, but I maintain
the problem is the conversation is not around whether the game is good or not.
No, the conversation is around
the
poor launch, buggy mess.
Poor launch. That's the problem, guys. We've got the conversation switch where it shouldn't be, and we're not debating the merits of whether the game is revolutionary or visionary or interesting or fun or any of that stuff. All we're talking about is they release a game. It doesn't play very well. It needs a lot of patches and work.
Yeah.
And again, the reasons for that release,
I don't really
because you've got investors dictating the art.
I don't want to say it too much, but I do partly kind of blame the gamers.
The gamers,
yeah,
are a part of that blame. They absolutely are.
Yep.
Because they cannot understand the efforts that need to go into this.
Yep. So
that's what scares me, guys. It bothers me on a long-term basis on what we're angry about pushes these companies in certain directions. Okay? And you're going to end up with more Call of Duties, you're going to end up with more Maddens, and you're going to end up with more Assassin's Creeds than you are with something like this that might have a few bumps to iron out, but is a far more visionary and artistic title. Something that's actually got something to it versus change the skins, change the jerseys, and get $60 more out of you. And that's what really bothers me, is we're pushing these companies to put out those every single year very low-risk releases with a different title, and we keep supporting that with very few complaints, and that's what you're going to end up with. So,
yeah, I want to get the pleb thoughts down.
You're gonna be left with the only place you're gonna find anything different in the indie scene,
which is where the best games have come in 2020 anyway. I want to get the pleb thoughts in the comments below. You guys like the video? If you enjoyed our discussion, it's a little reality check, and we'll see each and every one of you right here next time for more content like this. Take us home.
I want to know what you guys think on this. You are fucking welcome.
GG, you plebs.